Parshas Pinchas. This week's Parsha picks up where the previous Parsha ended. In the previous Parsha, there was a horrific open rebellion against Moshe and against the morality of the Israelites. And this was a morality which Moshe had been communicating to the children of Israel. And as a result of the consultation of Bilam with Balak, according to Chazal, according to the sages, they cooked up this plan to entice the Jewish people to consort in a licentious way with Midianite women. So the verse describes the offense, and anonymously says that in last week's parsha, Perek Chav Daled Pasuk Vav, V'nei ish mibnei Yisrael ba, a man from the children of Israel, no name. He came vayakrev el echav es hamidyonis leinei Moshe leinei kol hadas bnei Yisrael, and he brought to his brethren a Midianite woman in the eyes of, in the full vision, sight of Moshe and all of the children of Israel. This was a public demonstration, deliberate public demonstration. V'hema bochim pesach ol moed, and they're crying in the entryway to the ol moed. In other words, they don't know what to do. That is Moshe and the other leaders. V'yar Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron kahen v'yakum mitoch ha'edah v'yikach ramach b'yado. So then Pinchas got up and he took a spear and he killed him, and that's how it ends. And there is a plague. These are anonymous people who committed this crime, and Pinchas avenged for God in an act of serious violence. And there are limitations to this, but the fact is that he openly killed the offenders who have not yet been named. And then this week's parsha, the Torah begins with this words of praise for Pinchas and a description of his reward and how he brought atonement to the children of Israel. Now listen to this. This is Yud Daled and Tesvav in Perek Chav Hey. That's 25, 14, and 15. After all this is done, V'shem ish Yisrael hamukeh asher hukos hamidyanis Zimri ben Salu. The name of the man, the Israelite man who was smitten, who was killed together with the Midianite woman, was Zimri, the son of Salu, Nasi Beis Av L'Shimoni. He was the prince of one of the Batei Av, which is one of the main clans, shall we say, or families of the tribe of Shimon. Next verse. V'shem ha'isha hamukah hamidyanis kozvi basur. And the name of the woman who was killed, the Midianite woman, was kozvi basur. She likewise came from some type of nobility or position, rank. Rosh umos base of b'midyanhu. So Tzur, kozvi bas Tzur. Tzur was the head of a family, a group of families in Midian. Why give their names now? Why not introduce the players at the very beginning? It could have said, V'nei ish mibnei Yisrael, Zimri ben Salu. Could have said, and here comes a man of Israel, Zimri, the son of Salu. Why is it that the names are identified almost as an afterthought, certainly as a last detail before going on to the next narrative in the Torah? So why is it that they come then? So some of the Forshim explain that this is part of the praise of Pinchas. In other words, Pinchas didn't kill a nobody. He put himself at great personal risk. He killed two very big somebodies. He killed a Nasi Beis of Lashimoni. He killed a person who was very high in the pecking order of the tribe of Shimon. And he killed Kozvi Bas Tzur, who similarly was a high-ranking, she was the daughter of a high-ranking individual. Now, why were these names not identified early on? So the Meforshim explain, the commentaries say that Pinchas did not relate to the obvious danger of messing with somebody who's politically connected and somebody who is the leader of a tribe. He could well have been attacked by people who are followers of Zimri. So he acted towards them as though there would be no repercussions, even though there would be potentially repercussions. Presumably had not the Almighty stepped in and made his declaration that Pinchas is a good guy, and I'm giving him my covenant and etc. Implicit is my protection. He didn't desist, and the Moshe and the others, the leaders were bochim. They were crying at the tents, the opening to the tent of meeting to the Ol Moed, because they were choser onim. They didn't know how to handle this. This was not simply an act of lust. This was not simply an act of licentiousness. This was a public demonstration of a rebellious act deliberate rebellious act. That's how the Torah describes it. It says that they were le'enei vayakrev elachav. He deliberately, most people, if they do something that they would not want to be noticed, would not do it in public. They would do it in private. They would scurry away and hide. And it says they came close to his brethren, el echav, le'enei Moshe le'enei kol hadas bnei Yisrael. They did this. It was an open and notorious act. This was not simply a licentious act. It was not simply an act of lust. It was deliberate. And presumably the goal was to upend the constraints that of Torah's Moshe, to upend the constraints on moral behavior imposed by the Torah. Now we see a lot of that today. There's a lot of open rebelliousness against the moral constraints of the Torah. We don't act like Pinchas because Pinchas's actions were specifically his actions were permitted only while the couple were in the act, as it were. We don't go there, but that doesn't mean that the acts of licentiousness, which are touted and trumpeted as being new normative morality, are no less. It doesn't mean they're any less offensive. Conceptually, they're of a piece. They're like kind. In other words, that there are actions that people take that, if they were to take in private, they would be acts of capitulation to the Yetzer Hara, which people do fall from time to time, whether it's because matters of sexuality or matters of money, integrity, whether it's lashon hara. I mean, there's all kinds of ways in which people fall, but we struggle with those and we attempt to overcome them. On the other hand, when they are made to be an agenda, then it becomes very dangerous, and that's what Pinchas saw. And Pinchas acted on behalf of the Torah, on behalf of Kvod Shemayim, the honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he did so without being in any way hesitant as a result of the personal risk that he was subjecting himself to as a result of the prominence of the perpetrators. This is a very important lesson from this parsha. Now, there's one more about the names, and one might ask, why even go through the need to identify these people? Just lazim gain, let it alone, say what Pinchas did. So we have one answer, which is it shows that Pinchas acted in a way that was even braver than one might think. And the Mefarshim also say that the way in which the names are identified it's not simply the person's first name, but it gives their lineage as well, at least one generation up. Zimri ben Salu, Kozbi bas Tzur, important people, to teach us a lesson, which is our actions don't take place in a vacuum. And as the Medrash Tanchuma says, that when a person acts inappropriately, he not only degrades himself, but he degrades his family, those from whom he came. And this is a reminder that we have a responsibility not only to ourselves, but also to those whom we love and from whom we come, to act in an appropriate way to preserve the integrity of the family and to preserve the reputation of the family. Because when people do act out of line, for better or worse, it not only affects them, but it affects all of them, all of those around them. The message of acting in a way that does not degrade the public morality is important because, as Chazal also point out, that when Balak sent his daughter, according to Torah Shabbal Peh, Zimri ben Salu is, Kozvi bas Tzur, is either a daughter of Balak or a daughter of a similarly situated person, that Hifkiru es benosehem liznos. They were so dedicated to harming the children of Israel that they were even willing to sacrifice the reputation and the integrity of their own daughters. People will go to great extremes to advance their agenda, either to deliberately contort what the Torah is teaching, or to deliberately sacrifice their children, not necessarily on an altar, but by encouraging them, by soliciting them to engage in behaviors that are inappropriate. We need to be mindful that a society is built on morality, and it's built on the way we instruct our children to conduct themselves, and that we are all identified one with the other. And not only does the action of the children sometimes bring shame or embarrassment to a family, but the flip side is also true. When a person acts in a proper way, the response of people is usually nachas for the parents. They'll say something to the parents, or even if they don't, a parent will be very proud of their child when they act in the right way. And this is the nature of the perpetuation of proper conduct throughout all of Klal Yisrael and the world. Have a good Shabbos.